Is Blake Lively and her legal battle between Justin Baldoni, Steve Sarowitz, and Wayfarer causing real-life crime?
The fire started at 3:25 a.m., but the real explosion happened when the ransom note was opened. A billionaire's home was in flames, his daughter's life was on the line, and right in the middle of the chaos was the name of Hollywood's golden girl, Blake Lively. This wasn't a script or a movie set, it was a real-life horror story that linked a global superstar to an arson-fueled extortion plot. While the world watched her walk red carpets, a dark secret was brewing in Highland Park that threatened to tear down her entire carefully crafted image.
Has come to light.
Sarowitz and his home was the subject of an arson battle in Highland Park, Illinois.
Steve Sarowitz isn't just any billionaire, he's a powerhouse behind Wayfarer Studios, and a key player in the legal battle that has been haunting Blake Lively behind the scenes. When his Highland Park residence was targeted, it wasn't just a random act of violence. Investigators say a trash bin was soaked in accelerant and ignited, sending a clear, terrifying message. This was a deliberate warning shot fired at a man who knows exactly what goes on behind the closed doors of Hollywood production offices, and the timing couldn't be more suspicious.
This is a horrible look for Blake Lively. This would be...
The attacker didn't stop at arson. He escalated into a chilling extortion scheme that sounded like a low-budget thriller, but the stakes were incredibly high. Eduardo Aragon, a 25-year-old who had been jobless for 2 years, allegedly began sending messages demanding $80,000 in unmarked non-sequential bills. He wasn't just after money, though. He was using a very specific narrative to justify his crimes, claiming that he knew the secrets Sarowitz was hiding regarding his intense legal feud with the one and only Blake Lively.
Suspect committed arson and tried extorting billionaire family in Highland Park by threat of kidnapping. This dude, I'll tell you all about the story, and that is Steve Sarowitz, here in Highland Park in Illinois.
Even if setting property ablaze wasn't dramatic enough,
the most shocking part of the ransom messages was the specific mention of a $100 million vendetta. The suspect claimed that Sarowitz was willing to spend that massive fortune for the sole purpose of destroying Blake Lively and her husband, Ryan Reynolds. It's a jaw-dropping allegation that paints a picture of a Hollywood war far more vicious than anyone realized. Whether the claim was true or just the delusions of a desperate man, the fact that Blake's name was being used as leverage in a kidnapping threat changed everything for her reputation.
Prosecutors say a suspect committed arson at a billionaire's family home and then threatened to kidnap their daughter if they did not provide him $80,000 in cash.
While this real-life nightmare was unfolding, Blake Lively's social media remained a polished oasis of lifestyle content and floral aesthetics. To the public, she was just a founder and actress promoting her latest projects, but to the Sarowitz family, she was the name tied to their terror. Critics are now pointing out the jarring disconnect between her brand of modern feminism and her total silence while a young college student was being stalked and threatened in her name. This silence is becoming a louder problem than the actual allegations.
Of Wayfarer Studios. We know him as also being named as the defendant in this lawsuit from Blake Lively. We know him as being part of the co-producer of It Ends With.
The details of the stalking are enough to make anyone's blood run cold. Eduardo Aragon didn't just send vague threats, he allegedly messaged the Sarowitz daughter with her specific college and sorority house address. He told her she wasn't untouchable and that no amount of security could keep them safe. It's a level of personal violation that goes way beyond tabloid gossip. When a celebrity's legal drama starts serving as the inspiration for this kind of targeted harassment, the Golden Girl image begins to look very tarnished.
Part of the film production company that is involved in an active lawsuit against Blake Lively and other Hollywood producer. Now here's the kicker. The attorney said the drama involved the Hollywood debacle.
How did a 25-year-old from Illinois get caught up in the drama of a Hollywood power suit? Investigators tracked Aragon to a local library where he was using the public Wi-Fi to send his anonymous threats. He thought he was being a criminal mastermind, hiding behind digital masks, but he was caught on surveillance cameras in the parking lot. His mistake brought the entire world's attention to the internal rot of the Wayfarer Studios lawsuit, exposing the fact that this legal battle has moved out of the courtroom and into the streets.
Overheard, or I was told by Steve Sarowitz that he was willing to spend all this money to ruin Ryan Reynolds and
Blake Lively has built a career on being relatable, yet aspirational, but this update is stripping that away. The lawsuit with Wayfarer Studios over the film It Ends With Us was already messy, with rumors of creative clashes and on-set tension. But now, with arson and kidnapping threats entering the chat, the public is seeing a side of the industry that is rarely exposed. The question everyone is asking is, what did Steve Sarowitz actually say or do that would make a random stranger believe there was a $100 million bounty on Blake's career?
They're going along these lines that Steve Sarowitz said, that I will destroy Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. I will spend $100 million to destroy Ryan Reynolds and Blake.
The contrast between Blake's curated PR and the gritty reality of this criminal case is staggering. While her team pushes stories about her fashion choices and floral arrangements, the legal filings in Highland Park tell a story of intimidation and fire. It's a horrible look for a star who prides herself on activism. When your name is explicitly used in a felony extortion plot, the standard move is to condemn the violence. Instead, Blake has opted for radio silence, leaving fans to wonder if she's too polished to get her hands dirty with the truth.
The wife, the mom, receives a text message from this unknown number that indicates a threat of kidnapping their daughter if the family does not provide $80,000 in unmarked, non-sequential bills.
Steve Sarowitz is described by those who know him as a man of deep faith and good intentions, which makes these allegations even more confusing. He's been a major supporter of Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer, the very entities Blake is reportedly at odds with. The suspect, Aragon, seemed to believe he was stepping into a role as a hero for hire, trying to squeeze money out of a billionaire by weaponizing his supposed hatred for the Reynolds Lively empire. It's a bizarre crossover between a corporate lawsuit and a criminal mind.
Today, this does not look good for Blake Lively. So if the CIA, Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively side thinks in any capacity that this guy would be a good thing for them, opposite. This is a horrible look for Blake Lively.
We have to talk about the feminist label that Blake wears so proudly. Critics are bringing up her past controversies, like the plantation-themed wedding and her tendency to ignore heavy themes in her movies to talk about seasonal dresses. Now, she's being referenced in an extortion case involving the safety of another woman, and she has nothing to say. This lack of empathy or even a basic safety statement is causing a massive shift in how the public perceives her. The it girl might finally be facing a scandal she can't dress her way out of.
Said if you fail to comply, we will take their daughter's name hostage, and she won't make graduation. At that point, we will ask for more money. If you guys are prepared to spend $100 million to ruin the lives of Miss Lively and her family, we are sure you can spare a few for your.
The ransom messages were chillingly specific, stating that if the family didn't pay up, their daughter wouldn't make it to graduation. The suspect's logic was that if Sarowitz had millions to ruin a Hollywood star, he surely had $80,000 to save his own child. It's a twisted form of social justice that shows just how toxic the public discourse around celebrity feuds has become. People are taking sides in these industry battles to a dangerous extreme, and the consequences are becoming life-threatening for those involved.
Another message was sent on Thursday to the daughter identifying her college and the address of her sorority house where she frequently visits. Okay, Miss Honor Roll, we know you're at the address. You guys are not untouchable. You can upgrade your security all you want, and that still won't stop.
Digital forensics played a massive role in uncovering this plot. Law enforcement used IP tracing, device logs, and security footage to connect the dots back to Aragon. This wasn't some high-level conspiracy. It was the act of a man influenced by the intense, often distorted narratives circulating online about Blake Lively and her business rivals. It proves that when celebrities and billionaires engage in high-stakes legal warfare, the fallout can hit people who have nothing to do with the original dispute.
Part of the consequences of this entire thing going public is that people are taking this to their advantage. Steve Sarowitz, to me, seems like a very, very wealthy guy with good intentions.
What exactly is in those legal filings that hasn't been made public yet? The rumor that Sarowitz would spend $100 million to ruin Blake and Ryan is a massive claim. Even if it's a total lie created by the suspect, it points to a perception of extreme hostility behind the scenes. Usually, these disputes end in a quiet settlement, but this one has leaked into the real world in the most violent way possible. The secrets being kept by both sides are clearly explosive enough to trigger someone into committing arson.
Say that this man, his name is Eduardo Aragon. This guy on the left, this suspect committed arson, tried extorting billionaire family in Highland Park by threat of kidnapping.
The court date is set for May 29, 2025, and you can bet the security will be tighter than ever. This isn't just about a guy with a lighter anymore, it's about the narrative of power, money, and revenge in Hollywood. Eduardo Aragon is facing charges of arson, intimidation, and electronic harassment, but the shadow of Blake Lively hangs over the entire case. Every time the prosecution mentions the ransom notes, her name will be entered into the record, further cementing her connection to this dark chapter.
You can leave the lights on, you can upgrade your security, and we will still get by. Understand we took precautions to stay hidden. We are prepared to ruin all your lives. We're not asking for millions, just for $80,000. That's nothing to you people, the message said.
Why hasn't Ryan Reynolds stepped in? As one half of Hollywood's most powerful couple, his silence is just as noticeable as Blake's. They are usually masters of the charming response to any controversy, but this situation is far too serious for a witty Instagram caption. When a billionaire's family is being terrorized and your names are the motive, a joke won't fix it. The total lack of a statement suggests that their legal teams are terrified of making a move that could be used against them in the Wayfarer lawsuit.
Eduardo Aragon of Highland Park was seen on surveillance video coming to the library parking lot at night, using the free Wi-Fi at the same time the messages.
So now
The fallout is already affecting more than just reputations. Organizations and social programs connected to the wider business ecosystem of this feud are reportedly feeling the strain. When billionaires get tied up in messy lawsuits and criminal investigations, the funding for youth outreach and mental health initiatives can take a hit. This is the collateral damage of a celebrity ego war. Real people are losing support and resources because the leaders at the top are too busy fighting over creative control and ruining each other.
Confessed that he was the one that started the fire on the Sarowitz property. He admitted going to the library and sending the messages over Wi-Fi demanding the $80,000 to not kidnap the family's daughter. He had been out of work for 2 years and needed the money.
Jessica Sarowitz, a managing partner and key figure in the family's business, was the one receiving these terrifying texts. Imagine being a mother and seeing a message that lists your daughter's sorority house address, alongside a demand for cash. The trauma of this event will last far longer than any news cycle. The fact that this terror was fueled by a narrative involving Blake Lively makes it a unique and disturbing case of celebrity obsession turning into a criminal nightmare.
actually occurred.
He was charged on 1 count of arson, 6 counts of intimidation, and 1 count of harassment through electronic communication. The lawyers claims that, Aragon put a price on the lives of the family. The defendant premeditated his actions, had the means and sophistication to find the phone numbers of the family.
As the investigation continues, more forensic evidence is linking a gift left at the residence back to the suspect. It shows a level of premeditation that is truly alarming. Aragon didn't just snap, he researched, he followed, and he planned. He believed he was an actor in a much larger drama involving the downfall of a Hollywood icon. This is the danger of the stan culture and the intense scrutiny of celebrity lawsuits. It creates a playground for unstable individuals to insert themselves into the narrative.
Shadow himself by using internet phone apps and public Wi-Fi to avoid detection. The prosecutor said the messages were not only meant to serve the purpose of greed, but also to invoke fear in the Sarowitz family, with Aragon researching where the daughter was going to school.
The public reaction has been split. Some defend Blake, saying she can't be held responsible for the actions of a random criminal. Others argue that as a public figure, she has a duty to distance herself from such violence. But the middle ground is where the real truth lies. The situation is incredibly messy, and the silence is making it worse. By not acknowledging the gravity of the situation, she's allowing the speculation to grow, and the $100 million vendetta story is taking on a life of its own.
Ultimately tested.
The defendant took substantial steps to terrorize his family, and he has succeeded in placing them in a constant state of fear for their safety.
Steve Sarowitz has remained focused on his family's safety, but the legal battle with Blake isn't going away. This arson case has only added fuel to the fire, literally and figuratively. If the goal was to keep the drama quiet, that ship has sailed. Every piece of evidence brought against Aragon reveals more about the environment of the Wayfarer lawsuit. It's a high-stakes game of chicken where the losers aren't just the celebrities, but the people caught in the crossfire of their massive fortunes.
Steve Sarowitz, from all the research I've done, seems like a very philanthropic, good man. He seems like he is a man that likes to donate his money. He likes to give. He seems like he's behind good causes.
However,
We are living in an era where the line between online drama and real-world crime is disappearing. A simple disagreement over a movie edit can turn into a legal war, which can then inspire a desperate man to burn down a house. It's a chilling reminder that the things we discuss on social media have real-world consequences. Blake Lively may be a star, but she's also a central figure in a story that has now involved the police, the FBI, and a family's fight for survival in Highland Park.
Foundation is, of course, as you know, closing down because of all of this drama. We have a lot of roadblocks ahead, but to terrorize his family, he and his wife and his daughter, because of this, and using this to advantage and using Blake Lively's name, like, this is too...
Ultimately, the truth will come out in court, not on a red carpet. Whether Steve Sarowitz actually made those claims about Blake or not, the impact of this case is undeniable. It's a wake-up call for Hollywood that their private wars can have public violent endings. Blake Lively's secrets are being exposed one legal filing at a time, and as we head toward the 2025 court date, the world will be watching to see if the Golden Girl can survive the smoke, or if her reputation is destined to go up in flames.